just have a little quiet moment here, just to
A
let the stream
moment of
warm up.
silence. A moment of silence.
You see St. Pierre's family's farm was raided in Vermont.
Okay, let's get started. And welcome everybody to the 2025 Canyons by UTMB. We are trailgating our faces off, broadcasting live from the Placer County Land Trust. My name is Dylan Bowman, joined by my favorite co-hosting duo here. We're running it back from a baller broken arrow through Western States that we all did together. Of course, directly to my left, the amazing Corrine Malcolm. Corrine, hello. Good to see you.
Hello, hello. So excited to be here.
And look who we pulled in.
I
heard a rumor.
I was getting nervous that you didn't like me. I haven't been invited back, and I thought, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, yesterday as we were driving up here, I was like, yeah, I just chatted with Tim, and he's up in Auburn. He's not running. I was like, well, we got to get him on the show. Tim Tollefson in the house, everybody.
Thanks for
Good to
having
see
me
you,
back.
buddy.
Super excited to be here.
And of course, the man behind the scenes, Mr. Ryan Thrower, the MVP, who just spent the last hour setting this studio up, throwing the peace sign into the camera. And it's going to be an amazing race weekend. We're going to break down the 100K here in today's show. Then we're going to be back in studio at 11 a.m. tomorrow to preview the 50K, our first time ever doing like an official 50K preview at Canyons, and it is well deserved. We'll get to that in a little bit. Before our live stream tomorrow, there is the HOKA Shakeout Run. So if you are here in Auburn, starting at 10 a.m., right over there at the staging area where you do the packet pickup, we're going to do a nice little shakeout run at 10 a.m. Again, we're going to go live at 11 a.m. tomorrow for the 50K. And then, of course, looking ahead towards Saturday, 100K starts at 5 o'clock in the morning, 50K at 7 o'clock in the morning. And we are going to be blasting a bunch of updates out on Instagram throughout race day. Do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, just if you're listening to this right now and you're in the Auburn area, come join us at happy hour tonight at the station at 5. It's going to be awesome. We've got a cool like women in community trail panel to kick things off and then just be hanging out.
Oh.
And then also tomorrow, if you're hanging around and you want to hear from the elites in the 100K and the 50K, we'll be having the women's elite panel at 1:30 in the expo area and the men's elite panel at 2 p.m. and they should be really awesome.
Yeah, so there's no live stream here this year. Those things won't be recorded, but if you're in Auburn, come say what's up and hang out with us. And thank you for the reminder. Corrine is going to be manning all three of those panels, so you're not going to want to miss them if you're here in the endurance capital of the world. Finally, fantasy. We're playing 4 different races this weekend, okay? The Canyons 100K, the Canyons 50K, the Great Wall Trail, which is the Golden Trail World Series race happening in China this weekend, and also Madeira Island Ultra Trail. 4 games of fantasy taking place at fantasy.freetrail.com. Go pick 5 deep in each for your chance to win some great prizes from Freetrail and HOKA. And big thank you to HOKA for making our coverage possible here throughout race weekend. You see my fire new denim jacket, my Canadian tuxedo. Corinne and I are both rocking here in studio. And speaking of which, we've got some Canadians here, in especially the 100K. But again, we'll get to that in a little bit. Launching into it, maybe just first, how we doing here? Tim, you were thinking about racing this weekend. You ran last year. You chose not to race, but I understand you're going to be out there helping one of the contenders.
You know, anytime I have an opportunity to come home, because I was, went to school as a little kid just minutes from here, it is an awesome opportunity to be back. And unfortunately, I'm not racing, but it does give me that opportunity to be able to crew some of the younger kids on our team. And so I'm excited to still be involved. And yeah, and looking through these fields, I am actually pretty stoked not to be racing because they're loaded, the women's field and the men's field. Like, I didn't actually take a look at it until a few days ago because I was planning on racing, and man, it is going to be a banger out there.
Yeah. And also a previous Canyons 100K champion from 2018, Corrine Malcolm here, just enjoying it more as the commentator, spectator, fan, and crew member too.
Yeah, it's going to be, I get to wear all the hats this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 7 athletes racing, 2 men in the elite field for the 100K. And then I'll be crewing HOKA teammate Annie Hughes in the 100-mile Friday evening. So I'm not going to sleep, I think, until we basically do our wrap-up show on Saturday.
Yeah. Reflect on your 2018 victory, because we were just chatting about it. You as a past champion, I'm sure your fans want to recollect the day with you, reminisce.
Relive my glory days. It was before it was a golden ticket race, but it was a standard pre-Western States race. Kat Bradley had won it. Magda Boulay had run it. Rob Krar had won it. It was one of those things like that or Miwok or Quicksilver that you did in California ahead of running Western States.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough with like 4 tickets in the lottery to get pulled for the wait list that year. The second year of the wait list, which is a big deal. I was pulled pretty high, like 13 or 14 deep. And I actually found out the week of Canyons that I had gotten into the race. I wasn't gonna be able to go to training camp. And I was like, you know what? I should go run. I ran Way Too Cool. And then Canyons 100K, flew in solo, didn't have a crew, ran it solo. It was on the old course. So you ran from Forest Hill backwards on course to Swinging Bridge. You turned around, you ran back to Forest Hill. Then you ran down to the river, turned it around and ran back uphill against the grain to Forest Hill, which absolutely sucked.
The old double out and back.
Yeah, but it was awesome. It was such great training prep. That was going to be my ability to see as much of the course as possible before racing it myself. And it brought a lot of confidence to be able to run well there and feel strong and to feel like I had stacked up well against, women who had historically run it before me, who had gone on to do well at Western States. So it was a huge confidence booster for me and have a lot of love for the race directing team here. Having volunteered with them since then, I was the safety manager in 2021 during kind of that first pandemic edition of the race, keeping runners safe at check-in and then safe at the finish line, making sure we weren't congregating too closely together. But I've been back almost every year. I wasn't back last year for my mom's surprise birthday party.
Missed you. Yeah.
But I'm really happy to be back once again this year.
Heck yeah, and we're happy you're back, and that's a perfect segue to what I want to talk about here. Because, of course, one of the major storylines of the Canyons 100K are the Super Golden Tickets. 6 golden tickets to Western States. This is the conclusion of the golden ticket chase for the 2025 Western States, and there is a great history here at Canyons of people who perform well here, oftentimes go on to perform well at Western States at the end of June. So I pulled some stats here, guys. Canyons 100K has only been around for 12 years. Other than the year that you ran, I mean, most of those years have been golden ticket, probably more than half of those 12 years. Yeah. In those 12 years, 6 separate individuals have won both Canyons and Western States 8 weeks apart. Those individuals are Rob Krar from 2015, Magda Boulay from 2016, Kat Bradley 2017, Beth Pascal 2021, Adam Peterman 2022, Katie Scheid 2024.
And Rod got really close
He got
to doing
so
it on the men's
close.
side.
So now that was my next thing, because I was looking at this a little bit more too. People who have won and then finished top 10 at Western States. A certain Corrine Malcolm. You finished, I think, 9th that year?
Yeah, I was 9th that year.
Rod Farvard, of course, we'll all remember last year winning here at Canyons and then having, one of the performances of the season, finishing 2nd place at Western States in the 3rd fastest time ever. Cole Watson and Ida Nilsson from 2 years ago both won at Canyons and finished in the top 10. And then Kat Drew in 2021 also won here and finished, I think, 8th.
Yeah, we had some really close performances last year. We had people that finished just outside the top 10 who had gotten golden tickets here. So there's been a lot of speculation of, like, is this too close? And with it being net downhill and this edition of the race course that they started with last year, would that be too big of a stimulus? I mean, we're not going to talk about the 100-mile race, but Lin Chen, who's running Western States in not that long, is actually here running the 100-mile this weekend, which is a very Chinese athlete thing to do. But, I think that if you can absorb the stimulus well, it times out really nicely to Western States. If you can, 1, not get horrible poison oak, and 2, recover and get that last bit of training in.
Anything you want to add?
I just think that it's a great test run for a lot of these athletes. And as we'll talk about in our preview, there are a number of men and women that already have entries to Western States that are still doing this. And it's an opportunity to get on the trails, because this course, we will also touch on this, but there's been a course change because of the weather that they're forecasting. But you're still running about 31 miles of the Western States course in a trial run. You get to practice your gear, you get to practice your nutrition. Typically, you get to practice the conditions that might be on race day at Western States in the end of June, a hot, kind of blistering day out on the trails. This year, that's not going to be the case, but you also get an opportunity to stack up against some of these other racers that you're really going to be, towing the line with. So I think it's a dress rehearsal, and I just think it's a perfect kind of last launching pad. And as you said, Dylan, this is the closure of an incredible golden ticket hunt for the season. And I think when you look at the lists of those that have gotten the tickets, right now, the women's field and the men's field at Western States is incredible. And we're going to add, 6 additional athletes to that field, which is it's really going to cap off one of the deepest, most historically exciting fields ever in Western States history.
Well, now I want to get your commitment, now that you're not racing canyons and therefore not racing Western States, that you're going to be part of our trailgating coverage.
Oh, I thought you were going to offer me like a board spot. I'm like, yes, I will accept my spot at Western States. This is totally cool.
They'll happily demote me off the board to welcome Tim Tollefson.
Well, I mean, if you say it publicly, I'm not going to turn you down.
All right, buddy. Well, I cornered you here on trailgating, and now you have no choice. But suffice it to say, there's a great history of people who performing well at Western States. That's something you're going to want to keep your mind on as we see the results come in on Saturday. There's also, other examples like Anthony Costales, Jasmine Lothar, and I think Jimmy Elam. Yeah. All the years that they all won, they were injured and not able to start Western States. But both Anthony Costales and Jasmine Lothar are back and probably hoping for revenge there. And Anna Fisher, Jimmy Elam's partner, is going to be racing the 100K also. So some fun storylines for our fans to watch out for. Tim mentioned the course. So what Ryan's going to do now is bring up a screen cap of what the course looks like. Maybe tossing it to you first here, Tim, you could just explain a little bit about, because what the audience is going to be seeing is not the updated course, but they will see, sort of like on a Strava layout, the line across the foothills here, including the little loop, which is where the adjustment's been made. So maybe you could share a little bit about how it has been changed.
So as Corrine alluded to, this Canyons 100K has gone through several different iterations. I ran one of the original courses similar to you back in 2016. I ran the 50K, but the course that they've settled on, and I think is a wonderful kind of prep race for Western States, is it starts up at China Wall OHV, and then it's a net downhill course. And basically, if we broke it up into almost 3 sections or 4 sections like Western States, the first roughly 10 miles or so there are untouched trails from Western States. So runners are going to drop 2,500 feet in the first 8 miles and really season those quads. It's kind of like coming out of the high country a little bit at Western States. And one of the big changes, or the big change for the course this year, is normally you work your way up to Deadwood and then past it's called the Pump, over to Devil's Thumb, and then down to Swinging Bridge and back. So you drop down into one of the second canyon of Western States. And because of the forecasted rain, they've cut out the next section, which is called Loop 6. And this is an area that loops around. It's a beautiful stretch of single track that is not part of Western States, but it's kind of a fan favorite of the locals and then for canyons. And so that section is going to be removed, and there's going to be additional out and back utilizing some road, because the permit is because of the conditions, the permit administrators are basically, concerned about the damage potentially of the trail. And so it makes sense, but it will create, I believe, a 1 mile shorter course. So that's going to make it a slightly faster. And then overall, not having Loop 6, it will run a little quicker through that section.
Yeah, and they're also moving, the aid station will be moved to the Pump.
Yeah.
That location instead as well. So it'll be, if you are looking to meet your runner at Michigan Bluff, for example, you should plan for them to be there probably a little bit ahead of their projected schedule. So I've already updated my own where do I see Annie Hughes plan for Friday.
Yeah. So roughly a mile shorter. So it puts it at roughly 62 miles even. I just screen capped off of Strava here. Last year's course was 62.75 miles, about 12,000 feet of climbing. Are we removing any vertical climbing and descending, or is it?
No, it should be very similar. Yeah. I think it'll probably just be slightly shorter and a little faster.
Okay, great. So last year's winning times, which were therefore the course records, because this course has been changed a number of times. So it's difficult if you're looking at the historical record of winning times. You're not comparing apples to oranges. And this year, we're not necessarily going to be comparing apples to oranges. But Rod Farvard ran 8 hours, 44 minutes to win for the men. Katie Scheid, 9 hours, 10 minutes for the women, which, first of all, is just crazy.
It's
Katie
so
was only
fast.
25 minutes.
Arguably,
behind Rod.
I might even say, and maybe it's out on a limb, that was a better performance than her Western States win.
Or her UTMB.
It was
Agreed.
unbelievable what she did here at Canyons.
No, I was looking at that too, because I've been talking to some of the guys that are racing, and they're like, yeah, I think to get a ticket, you got to go sub 9 hours. And I think that we're gonna have this many men under 9 hours. And then I was looking at it and I was like, holy cow, like Katie ran 9:10, and like the ticket positions for men are like, we're talking just like 10 minutes faster than that. And she did. We heard from the guys racing that the person pushing the pace early in the race, it wasn't Rod, it was Katie, like taking a flyer off the front on some of that first bit of climbing.
Yeah. All right. So before we move off the course here, you mentioned that you lose 2,500 feet in the first 8 miles. The tickets are on the line. Bring us into the pack dynamic at the front of the race, because my guess is 5 a.m., headlamps on, everybody's fit, motivated to get into Western states. People are on the gas. Am I right?
Absolutely. And what we've seen over the last 2 seasons in particular is that moves are made early. And we used to say, oh, the race starts after X, and it was always like halfway or 2/3 into the race. The race now starts when the gun goes off. And so for this race in particular, there's going to be 15 to 20 plus guys, 15 to 20 women in it from the mix, or in the mix from the gun, from 5 a.m. on. And I was just out in that area, and it's bone dry. Even though they're forecasting some weather, it's still going to run incredibly fast. It runs like cement. And last year we started with some snow on the course, and we still were ripping 6 flats out that section. And then what's deceiving on this is 8 miles, 2,500 feet of descent. It doesn't come equally spread. That last mile dropping down into El Dorado Canyon, and as you cross into that first creek, that drops about 800, 900 feet in a single mile. So if you're ripping along for 7 miles, then suddenly you just hammer the quads, and that's like where you've basted it, and you're setting the trap for later, kind of blow-ups that I think we will inevitably see because of just the depth and the excitement of this field.
Yeah, even though it's not going to be as hot as it has been the last 2 years here, I still think some of those later climbs where you have 600 feet in a mile, which is not crazy on a training run. That doesn't feel that bad, but it feels like Everest all of a sudden when you're out there in the final, 12 miles of the race trying to climb back up to Auburn. You're gonna maybe wish that you didn't blast those early miles. I think there's also, I'm a Boulder Boys podcast stan, I would say, and Matt Daniels, who's racing the 50K this weekend, was talking about last year in the race, in the 100K, where they're coming back up from Swinging Bridge and things were kind of like bunching up a little bit, in which someone was slowing down ahead of them and there was a break happening. And Drew Holman apparently just like started running up the side of the trail because he was like, if I don't go now, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose the break with like Petter and Rod in that group. And Matt was like, yeah. And I thought, you know what? We're going to see him later. I'm not worried about it. He's like, they never came back.
See, that is exactly how the sport has changed.
Yep.
Where you have to bridge those moves now. And like if a pack does get away, it's very hard to bridge back up. Just like the Tour de France. It's crazy, right?
Absolutely. And I was with Matt during that section. And so last year, I was in the same headspace where I thought, oh, we're going to catch them. And I even went through Michigan Bluff, and I could see the lead pack was only 3 minutes in front of me. For the next 20 miles, I burnt so many mental matches running solo, even though we were running the same pace, that by the time we got to Driver's Flat, I was cooked.
Yeah.
Hey, if I had tucked in that pack and that move, it would have made a huge difference.
Yeah, like even if you're running 10 seconds a mile faster, mentally it feels easier, and you're not so stressed and like needing to push solo to try and bridge up to the group. Really interesting thing. I'm really glad you brought that up, Corrine. So we've spoken about the conditions a little bit. It's a little bit questionable. It's a beautiful day here in Auburn today. Ryan's going to pull up just a screen cap of what the forecast is. Setting the tone for this, because I think it's going to be important. We're sitting at about 1,000 feet here. The race starts at 5,000 feet at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's probably going to be cold, and it's forecasting potentially some rain. So what Ryan is showing here is an expected high of about 57 degrees here in Auburn. Nice. But in all likelihood at China Wall early in the morning, we're looking at, not much above freezing also. So maybe just introducing the conditions into the conversation here. Corrine, you can get us started here. On paper, it looks like pretty good weather to go fast, especially because Tim's description about the underfoot conditions being rock solid.
I mean, I think it's setting up to be pretty darn ideal. I know everyone's been doing their heat training, but I know that there are people that are like, it's not going to be chuckanut hypothermia conditions out there. But right now, particularly if it's overcast, that's what I think generally gets people is like the late, like midday sun can just be really grueling out here, even if it's, quote, only 80. Only 60, whatever it might be. So I think a high of 60, maybe overcast, maybe a little bit of moisture early, chilly at the start. Maybe we'll see a little bit more layers than usual. Honestly, the biggest thing that's going to hamper these athletes, because conditions I think are ideal, is that the cold weather kit by UTMB has been put into play. So they will be carrying more than they have probably been practicing with. And so packs are going to feel maybe a little bit less comfy than they usually would.
Required gear is un-American. I'm just gonna say that. Like, you're in the birthplace of the 100.
Did you see the comments on the Instagram post yesterday?
No.
It was so funny.
It's
so funny.
I would bet I would agree with whatever.
That's all we
you're
have.
referencing.
That's all we have.
But, I think what you're saying, Corrine, is spot on. And even though conditions are favorable for running fast, and people have heat trained, and they might be disappointed that they can't utilize their strategies, if you're running quicker because the conditions are favorable, you now just have to manage your energy stores differently. So there's still going to be a challenge, and nutrition and like hydration, all that stuff is going to be pivotal, even if it's not hot. Just because
100K is still 100K. They're still running hard. Their fueling is still gonna be hypercritical. If it's a little bit more humid than usual, that's a whole thing. Like,
still gonna be high 50s. Like, it's not like survival situation.
it's not chucking up.
Here. I mean, we are in Auburn, California.
I didn't even bring a rain jacket, so I was completely
Ryan
caught
brought
off guard.
no jackets.
This is just a play by Big Trail to get us to buy gear.
Yeah, somebody's comment was like, hey, if
pants?
2,000 people need to buy waterproof pants in the next 24 hours, are they going to be able to? I mean,
it doesn't exist here.
It doesn't exist. Anyway, we don't need to armchair quarterback the race directing organization. Obviously, their intentions are good. Keep everybody safe out on the trails. But the weather is a little bit of a factor here. But on paper, it looks almost exactly like what we had at Gorge 2 weekends ago, and that was freaking fast. Like fast, where we had expectation of a little moisture. I think it drizzled a tiny bit in the morning, never got above 60 degrees, so kind of high 50s, and dry, well-maintained trail. And at Gorge, men's course record fell by 30 minutes. Women's course record fell by 20 minutes. We are in this age, remembering Riley Brady at Black Canyon lowering a course record by 30 minutes. I mean, it seems like it happens every day. Caleb Olson at Trans-Gran Canaria lowered it by 25 minutes. Like, are we going to see the men's winner run low 8s? Are we going to see the women's winner go sub 9?
So what you described just now in the analog is in marathoning. Those are world record conditions, basically. Yeah. Maybe a little high is normally like high 40s, low 50s, but that's optimal weather for running quick. I think we're going to see a course record on the men's side significantly, because as good as Rod's run was last year, I think that it was still below the threshold of what we all could run, for the men's field. I think Katie's record is going to stand. I don't think that's going to be touched this year, but I think significant course record on the men's side, and the women are going to get fast, but they won't break her record.
And again, like, we're probably the course with this change, let's call it 10 to 15 minutes faster, maybe, with being a mile short and a little bit easier terrain underfoot for that section. Like, so someone could get close to Katie's record, but I think, again, it's going to be, it's trail running. There's always some apples to oranges with like minor course tweaks every year. I mean, it happens at Madeira, it happens at Trans-Gran Canaria. The course changes literally year over year based on closures, et cetera, trail work being done. I think that the men's record, independent of course change, was likely to go down. I just think the field is really good, and I think they're all ready to throw down, even though we've got a bunch of guys that are already, quote unquote, in Western states. On the women's side, I think that Katie Scheid is, Courtney DeWalter tier right now. And I don't know that the women in this race are good and have amazing results behind them. But I don't know that anyone in that field is Katie Scheid, Courtney DeWalter
is going to be
tier.
Pushing the men's pace in the first.
And that's
5
the thing. We're
miles.
going to have the men in a pissing match where they're just going to be taking like bare knuckle boxing blows to each other 8, 10, 15 miles in, and it's going to set the trap for an incredible field or an incredible finish, but also potentially some carnage for the men.
Yeah.
One other thing before we move to actually talking about the athletes who are going to be competing for these golden tickets is, last year we should remind our audience too that it was a very wet winter here in Northern California, and the first 50K of the Canyons 100K course was very sloppy last year too. So I'm expecting very fast times. I think I probably fall on the side that both you guys do too, and that the men's course record is definitely on watch, but Katie's course record is probably safe.
Would love to be proven wrong.
Of course.
Would love to have one of these gals just absolutely, Marianne Hogan, Emily Hoggett, et cetera, just like absolutely destroy the thing. Is that going to happen this weekend?
Yeah.
I'm more doubtful on that side.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of the characters here. Let's pivot and talk about the women's race. But first, we got to give a big thank you again to our friends at HOKA. After this, we're going to the HOKA happy hour. All of us, Corinne's going to be doing a panel, and we're going to be hanging with our good friends at HOKA, who are great supporters of Freetrail, of Western States, Golden Tickets, UTMB, etc. And this week, they're launching the Mafate X. Corinne, you want to speak about the shoe?
It's an awesome shoe. It's behind Dylan here on set. I've been running in it for probably almost 8 weeks now. It's people like, is it a performance shoe? Is it a kick around shoe? I think it's a comfy shoe.
Yeah.
I'm signed up for Mammoth 200 right now. I'm sitting next to Tim Tollefson. And it, I think, is my Mammoth 200 shoe. It's got a ton, super high stack height, really, really comfy ride. There's a plate in there, which adds a lot of stability to a large stack height shoe. Maybe more fun. Did you check out the lugs on the bottom?
Yeah, it's like Vibram.
No, did you check out the shape of those lugs?
Oh, yeah, it's pizzas and
tacos. So there's a bit of play with it, too. So I think a lot of us have been using it as our like long run with a little bit of intensity shoe, a recovery shoe, doing a double shoe. Heather Jackson wears it warming up for her workouts, for example. But it's very different for HOKA. It's an 8 mil drop, which is, kind of outside of our 5 mil, normal place. And it's a really fun, playful, very comfortable shoe.
Yeah, awesome. So a new well-cushioned super shoe to add to your rotation. A big thank you to HOKA. Women's race.
Where do you want to start?
So let's see. Let's maybe first, those who don't need the tickets. We're launching into both races here, right? So those who don't need the tickets, Rod Farvard, Jeff McGavro, Emily Hawgood, Priscilla Forgy, Hiroki Kai. Am I missing anybody?
I think that's it.
I think that's it.
3 on the men's side, 2 on the women's side. And then in theory, there has been one favorite on the men's side who says that he does not want the ticket, that being Francesca Pupi.
Okay, we'll get to that in a little bit.
But you got to factor it into your thought process.
So it is interesting, though, because you could see those individuals doing very well. Obviously, like Zach Miller's the other question mark, right? Would he take a ticket? So if you look at those names, including the defending champion, Rod Farvar, not being here for a ticket, could introduce, a different dynamic into the races. Starting with the women, I referenced my Canadian tuxedo at the beginning. The Canadians this weekend. Maybe we'll start with them. Corinne, you get us started. Jasmine Lothar, Marianne Hogan, Arden Young, Priscilla Forgy, Elsa McDonald. A great,
and
what would you call that? Not a quadfecta. What would be a...
I don't know.
Yeah, syncfecta?
Yeah, dream team. I don't know. It's the Canadians oftentimes don't get the love they deserve, but they are very prominent, I think, especially on the women's ultra endurance side. You've got Arden Young, who's been kind of knocking at the door of a golden ticket time and time again. Jasmine Lothar has won here before, but then was injured and didn't get to go to Western State. So excited to see her back. Marianne Hogan, she's had some interesting ups and downs, but she's a gal who's, has podiumed at both UTMB and Western States in the same summer. She, in her own words, is maybe not in the shape she would like to be in, but it's hard to count her out of anything because she continues to throw down independent of injury or whatnot. And then Elsa McDonald's really interesting because when she came back to Western States a couple of years ago and had a phenomenal performance, PR'd in a big way. I think finally did what she had wanted to do at Western States. I thought, cool, Elsa McDonald's done with Western States. So I'm actually curious to see her back in this field in the sense of, is this Elsa wanting to level up with the rest of the women at Western States and get back into the race? Or is she just here because it's a competitive race and she wants to get into CCC or UTMB? That is also on the line here. So I actually don't know from the Elsa McDonald standpoint, does she want a ticket?
Yeah, she's so good though.
She's so good.
Yeah.
She is one of the few people that's ever beat Courtney DeWalter.
Yep.
Which is...
That's right. It was Black Canyon 2017 probably.
Yep, exactly. And it was Courtney had run Sean O'Brien and then doubled back for Black Canyon, something crazy as well. But Elsa is very, very
Second
talented.
Second to Beth Pascal at Western States 2021.
Yep. And so it's... And that was really, I feel a redemption year for Elsa, where she finally, she when in 2019, I think I passed her late in the race to move into 10th type of thing. where she was just not having the day that she wanted. I don't know if that was 2018 or 2019, but a late pass in the race that kind of kept her right out of the top 10. And so coming back in 2021, getting the job done, you know, does she see this like continued acceleration in the sport? And she's like, ooh, I think I'm capable of more at Western States. Is interesting. And then we haven't really mentioned Priscilla Forgy. Great run last year at Western States. Super, super talented athlete.
Two-time top 10.
Two-time top 10. Came onto our radar when she was second to Ida Nilsson here in
2022. 2023.
2 years ago. Yeah, 2023. Hot year. Her luggage had been lost. And so she was running. We're like the girl in the cute outfit.
Yeah, remember you and I were chasing people around with cameras. And I was like, who are you?
Yeah,
what's your name?
Who are you?
She's like, Priscilla. I'm like, where are you from? She's like, I think Victoria or Vancouver.
Yeah, we're like, you're really talented. Yeah. She had like gone to REI and bought like a running outfit because her luggage hadn't made it. And she was just like, you know, happy-go-lucky, like now top 10 at Western States twice, already in. I don't know that she's going to take a flyer off the front, maybe that I think Emily Hoggood could potentially do this weekend. But she's really solid, and she does her own thing, and she runs really, really strong, start to finish.
Tim, anything you want to add?
I mean, that was a fantastic
Canadian intro.
Yeah, and I love that our neighbors of the north are getting more love because they've always done well. But obviously in North America, we have an American bias because a lot of the media is here. But I think that the Canadians have, you know, like you say, Mariana Hogan, I love to see that she's back. I'm curious about what her training's been like, if she's healthy. But you point out that she is podium twice at UTMB. Third at States and then second at UTMB in the same summer. We're always talking about like, hey, can men do this? Men can't do it, but Marion Hogan can do it. The women can do it, and they've proved that. And I think it's really neat and I would love to see her string one together because getting her back into the States field would be absolutely incredible.
I mean,
her training's been good.
Yeah, I mean, she obviously dealt with a serious injury about a year and a half ago, but aside from Courtney and Katie, who has been better at the world's biggest stages than Marianne Hogan? 2 times on the podium of UTMB. A certain Tim Tollefson has done that.
But I've never podiumed at Western States in the same summer.
But then also
but
UTCT, like she showed up there and did really well.
Yeah.
Like she did drop down.
And she's
in
got
distance.
versatility. Like she can do these fast races. She can do the mountain races. So
yeah,
it's great to see her here. I thought I read her. I just reread her Instagram caption because I thought she posted, I'm like in really great shape, but she said something like, I'm not in the best shape, but maybe she's sandbagging. So Marianne, don't sandbag. We're going to be rooting for you.
Yeah,
we are going to be watching
but she did. She made the decision at Tarawera to not do the 100K because she was like dealing with a little bit of a niggle. Dropped down to like the 25K. Ran that. Had a fun day, and then I mean she was at Solomon training camp and she put in a huge week there. She's been training on the bike and running. Like I think she's probably pretty fit.
And that's something I really respect about her. It reminds me of Ruth Croft. She won't line up if she's not ready. Yeah. She will make the wise decision, the mature decision to drop down or drop out or DNS, which is really cool to see. So the fact that she is lining up means that she thinks she at least has a shot to mix it up with front ladies.
Yeah, and you bring up Ruth Croft, who's like really the only other person who you can put in that same category of like, obviously Courtney and Katie have been changing the sport in the last few years. And Ruth Croft, obviously one of the best of all time, certainly one of the greats of my generation. But Marianne Hogan is like, I mean, we remember Ruth passed her 95 miles into UTMB last year. Like it wasn't, my point is that we've got an amazing field here too. You mentioned Jasmine Lothar, also Canadian. She's won here in the past. Didn't get to take advantage of that golden ticket. So just rounding out that conversation with the Canadians. The next category I want to shine a light on are those who have earned golden tickets in the past, right?
So, like half the field.
Yeah. So people like Emily Hoggood, Keely Henninger, Katie Asmuth, Anna Loudon, Kareth Arnold, Erin Clark. I'm maybe missing one or two there. Corrine, you want to take that category for a spin?
Yeah, I mean, it's the who's who of getting into Western States. I mean, people in that group have turned down golden tickets before as well. Keely Henninger.
Couple times.
Yeah, couple times type of thing. Really excited to see her back here, making it work with medical school. She had a good time at Big Alta and has been able to put in some big training since then. But, I mean, I'm also really, really excited to see Katie Asmuth run. She was not quite ready for Black Canyon and apparently has been really hungry ever since. We were talking about her last night. at a PR panel, and Rod said after Black Canyon, she was like, I need to get faster, and apparently has been doing like 3 workouts a week, and he's like, and she got faster, and is like, she's ready to rip this weekend.
It's unfortunate the training works.
Yeah, training works, and Katie is hungry. Like, no one loves Western. We all love Western States a lot in this room. I don't know if any of us love Western States as much as Katie Asmuth loves Western States.
It's hard to find someone that loves the sport more than Katie Asmuth. She is like hype rolled up into a human form, and she loves Western States more than anything. And I really hope that she gets the ticket, because having trained with her for since Black Canyon, it's like, I want to change the subject. I want to talk about something else on our runs. Like, and she's ready. Like, let's do it, Katie. Let's bring it home.
So good. So good. So, but I mean, like Keely, right? She is focused on other things in life, but this is the type of race where like Keely's a favorite, right? So even though she hasn't been as active as just like a strict professional athlete in the way that maybe she was a couple of years ago, like Keely should be viewed as one of the favorites in the race here. I mean, all these women, you could make an argument for winning, but then you have like Anna Loudon, Kareth Arnold both got tickets here last year.
Yeah.
Erin Clark, I think it was here that she got her ticket, wasn't it?
I'm not sure if it was here or not, and then had an injury. I mean, her run at Javelina.
No, wasn't she Lake Sonoma?
No.
No, Lake Sonoma was a world spot for her.
Oh, that was, sorry.
I know that Erin has run Western States. I can't remember exactly how she got in.
Because Peterman crewed her, and then they flipped, and she crewed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
So anyway.
Someone knows, and they are screaming at us right now online, and
everyone
that's okay.
is screaming. But like you said, I broke down the women's field into favorites, challengers, and wild cards, and Keely was in my favorites category. Like, I think that the history she has with these trails, her maturity in the sport, what she's done, you just can't count her out. Like, if she's healthy, if she lines up, and the fact that you just mentioned, like, coming in from Big Alta, building momentum through the season, she's no longer sponsored, taking that pressure off. She's kind of running for herself and other reasons. I think that actually frees her up to unlock even more potential. And so I had her in my favorites category.
Yeah.
One person we haven't really mentioned enough, also in the favorites category, at least in my opinion, Emily Hogwood.
Oh, my goodness.
Come on.
So much to say about Emily.
Yeah, doesn't need a ticket. Does not need a ticket. This gal, the consistency in which she runs and the work ethic she has to like get it done is unreal. And I would love to see her get that big W. She's got a lot of like, it's kind of like the big Q versus the little Q.
She's been a bridesmaid.
She's got a lot of little Qs, you know, but like this is her like big Q moment. And talking to friends and teammates of hers, she is incredibly fit right now. She has nothing to lose. She lives locally. While she is from Zimbabwe, right? She lives in Roseville, just down the road. She knows these trails better than anyone, and she's ready to rip. Yep. And so I'm like, I don't think Emily Haga is just doing this for a training stimulus. Like, I think she's here to throw down, and I think that she should be a favorite for the win.
That was exactly my thought, is like Emily Hoggood, it's hard to name anybody else who screws up less. Like, she just never screws it up, but still, like, she's sort of searching for that big signature victory. And she's still only 27 or 28. You know, she's done so much in the sport. And like, maybe this is the weekend where she finally gets that.
Is this going to be her 5th Western States, something like that?
I think so,
like,
yeah.
And she's been top 10 every single. Actually, interesting Emily Hoggood story. Okay, the year that she got her golden ticket finally at Canyons here in 2021, where she did she do Bandera, Black Canyon, Canyons to get her golden ticket? She did every single 100K opportunity that spring. She actually got offered an Ultra Trail World Tour spot like 2 weeks before Canyons, and she turned it down because she said, "No, I got to earn that golden ticket."
Incredible.
And
story.
I was like, I don't have the.
I would have taken the ticket.
I would have
Yes.
taken the Ultra Trail World Tour spot. Her coach was not happy when she did that, but he was like, "It's Emily, and Emily's going to do what Emily wants." And not luckily, like she was in that mix to get a ticket, but it was tight. Like, It was not
What
a
a
given.
great story.
So
Incredible.
And she's been at Western States ever since.
All right, so
But with Emily, I think this is the perfect opportunity for her to take that shot where, as you said, there's nothing to lose. She can work on her skill set. She can take some chances. She has the entry to Western States. And remember, she ran 16:48 last year, like for 4th place. That gets overlooked, but she ran 16:48. That's better than my PR at Western States right now. And so I think Kane's 100K this weekend is a perfect opportunity for her to roll the dice. Yeah. She can take a chance. And I'll be curious if that's the approach she takes, or if it's more, I just want to use this truly as a building towards Western States, and Western States is going to be her breakout.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not afraid to put herself out there. We watched her do that. Her and Ruth came in shoulder to shoulder
memorable.
at Devil's Thumb. She is comfortable doing that. And so I think that this is another opportunity to flex that muscle and to practice, putting yourself in that lead position, because I mean, we'll talk about Western States later, but like the women's race is anybody's race, and Emily Haga's got just as much of a chance of winning it as any other woman on the start line this year. And so I think that this is an opportunity to practice winning.
So good. Shout out Travis Longcar, who has confirmed that Erin Clark got her golden ticket 2021 Bandera. Thank you, Travis. Closing things out with the women, you mentioned sort of wild cards or dark horses. I wrote down 3 other names. Sylvie Abel, who's local to the Bay Area, crushes a lot of the local Bay Area stuff.
And she's won Mammoth Trail Fest.
And beyond. Yeah, exactly. And won the Mammoth Trail Fest 50K. McKendry Hickory and Anna Fisher. Those are 3
Anna
other
Fisher,
names.
I had her written down.
Yeah, ran Trans Gran Canaria earlier this year. Super, super solid athlete. McKendry Hickory, I got to share a lap at Javelina with her. We were both dealing with like odd niggles, and we were like, it's okay, we can do this. We just got to get in this lap, and then we'll figure it out from there.
One lap at a time.
But she also is an individual who her house and steamboat burned down in the fall, kind of out of nowhere, had a big house fire, lost everything. The community came out in big ways and helped them get back on their feet. And then, she's really, really solid. And so I do think that McKendry Hickory is someone to keep an eye on, akin to the Kareth Arnold breakout story last year here. A mom, no one really knew who she was. I was like, you're Lottie Brinks' sister-in-law. That's all I know about you. Yeah. I think that McKendry Hickory could also find herself in that role this year where we know who McKendry is, but I don't think broadly. I think that the European audience would be really surprised to see some of those names make it into that top 5 position.
Yep.
And I think Anna Fisher fits into that, where not a lot of people know her. She's not a household name, but ready for a good day.
Yep.
And she had a great Trans Gran Canaria. She's won also, she did really well at Mammoth Trail Fest. And she's a student of the sport, one of those Salt Lake City sweethearts that, is training with Jimmy and has a lot of great counsel. I think that I would not be surprised for her to slide in top 5 and get a golden ticket.
Yeah.
And then I think last 2 names before we just name everyone, which is essentially what we've done at this point, is 2 other women who have been knocking at the door of a golden ticket but have not been able to lock them down. And I think Anna McKenna is running, and
I didn't see her on the most recent start list, which surprised me.
Which surprised me too, because she's been, I think, at every single golden ticket race for like the last 2.5 years.
Australian who has been traveling the world to try and get a golden ticket for years.
And has been like a spot out multiple times. And then Sarah Beal, who had to drop out of Chuckanut due to hypothermia. You came to the rescue with the jacket, and then I came to the rescue driving her back to the finish area.
I mean, Sarah Beal could win the race. Yeah.
This is a great course for her. It sets up well for her. The weather is going to be great.
Yeah.
She is a 50K phenom, a 50-mile, JFK phenom. Canyons could be a good run for her. And then the notable drop, I would say, that we have not mentioned would be, for those wondering, Mary Denholm was initially supposed to be in this race, but she had a hamstring tear a number of weeks ago and has since withdrawn from there. She'll be here crewing a friend, but is not running. And I was really bummed to hear that, because she was one of my picks at that time.
Yeah, Sarah Beal, I'm glad you mentioned that, because at Chuckanut, where she dropped out, where I sort of gave her my jacket and walked with her for a little bit, she was so frustrated. She's like, I was feeling so good. I was feeling so fit. Like, didn't expect the cold to take me out today. So she's going to be probably coming in with a lot of motivation. And even though she's going to have to carry the cold weather kit, it's not going to be like Chuckanut this weekend. So shout out to Sarah Beal. Hope she can get some revenge from that early season
and
disappointment.
Just so like a final note, I would say on the women's side, 2 women have spots already into Western States, 3 tickets on the line. What's going to be, we're going to see like what order that is in. We'll see. The ticket may have an opportunity to roll a little bit. but should stay within that top, 5-6 group pretty easily. That is a different story. And no one on the women's side has said, I don't want the ticket.
Yeah.
I think everyone is here for it. The men's
Let's
side
remember to
is a little
come
bit
back
different.
to this, what we were talking about before we started recording, because I think the audience would find that really interesting. Launching into the men's field, instead of the Canadians, I've got the internationals, and I think this is a really interesting group of internationals in the field here this weekend. We've got Francesco Puppi, who has had an absolutely sick start to his season after re-signing with HOKA. Hannes the Adonis Naumburger, the great German athlete. Jupiter Carrera Casas, who Tim's going to be shepherding along the course. And Hiroki Kai, who just got a golden ticket at Tarawera, finishing second behind Dan Jones. Those are sort of like guys who you could view as favorites who are also international athletes. And then a guy named Michael Dimuantes, an Aussie, who's won UTA, I think, at least once, maybe twice, has been doing well in sort of that Australasian.
Did you see his time
region?
at UTA?
No.
We both got him slightly.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, the glory days. 10 years ago, I won that race. All right, we're still
No, but I
celebrating.
noticed his name and I was like, wow, this guy is stout. Like,
Yeah.
he's someone that I wrote down.
Yeah. So anyway, great group of internationals. Does anybody want to take a swing at any of these names? Because, I mean, like, Francesco, let's spend some time on him. You've said that he's explicitly not going to take a ticket. I have doubts about that. When Craig Thornley hands you a ticket, your mind may change. But he's never done 100K before. I think the longest he's gone is about 80K at Templier, I think 2 years ago.
And he's done like Sonoma. So he's done 80K races, but he has not done 100K. And that's kind of the step up here. And I wonder too, does that mean that he's like, eyeing a CCC move here down the road? He's done really well at OCC in the past. And this would be kind of a little stepping stone moment in that regard.
But he is almost as good as it gets in the sport,
Absolutely.
He is the best 50K runner in the world, ostensibly. Eli Hemming, probably the...
I was going to say, you think he's better than Eli?
I mean, objectively, Eli beat him at OCC, but it wasn't by much.
No,
Eli was fading.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the time that Francesco closed down on Eli in the final 10K was... Eli has feelings about
and so
it.
I will always say, don't sleep on the east side. Is where Mammoth Lakes is on the eastern side of the Sierra. Rod, myself, Katie, Danny Moreno. It's a all-star crew there. And Poopy is our adopted foreigner for the season. He's been living in Mammoth with us, training with Rod, training with myself, and so I've had an opportunity to run with him. And he has shared that he has like sort of a planned out season. Western States was not part of it. He does want to start to learn more about the United States trail scene, and that's why he was on the American Tour in 2024. But as you said, there's something about that peer pressure and power of a golden ticket when Craig Thornley hands it to you on the finish line. If you are lucky enough to get it, it's hard to say no. Then you get all your friends, family, fans
Especially
saying,
this
do
year.
it, do it.
This year
And then
is
people will
the
say, this
year.
will be the greatest men's field ever assembled. You got to be part of it. But if his long-term vision is something else, I really respect the fact that he would hold to it and not cave to peer pressure. I think Poopy is going to basically help. I think he is going to control this race from the front. It's going to be kind of probably him and Rod, but Poopy has the credentials to do well here, to win it, probably break the course record. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, but I guarantee that he will be in the mix, helping to push the pace early.
Yeah, I think that this is someone who could be very, very commanding in the race. I think I think he's got nothing to lose. I don't think he's saying I don't want the ticket just to like protect himself mentally from it. I think that he is a hyper professional and he's got a vision and a plan. And I just think that the 100-mile distance isn't part of that vision quite yet. And that's commendable. It is okay, although we frown upon it, to turn down a golden ticket. He does.
Although we are passing supreme judgment, we respect the decision. We just heard you.
We will remove your visa and we'll boot you out.
We'll deport you very fast.
Only joking.
No, but I will say that I think that he is a professional athlete, and I think that he really I think he prides himself on that, and I think that he's got a vision, and technically Western States isn't part of it quite yet, and that is That's
And how
A-okay.
sick would it be to see Poopy at CCC instead?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And kind of just keep moving up the ranks through the
Yeah.
UTMB field. I think for the other foreigners, though, Hannes is one that, my boy Hannes, I love this kid. I'm going to call him a kid. He's not a kid, but he
I was gonna
has...
say he's here with his like toddler. Like,
but he has won basically some of the biggest races on the international scene, including setting course records at Lavaredo, beating my time there, and he's finished top 10 at UTMB, I think, twice. But Hannes is one that I think, unlike Poopy's raced Lake Sonoma. He's raced some of the American classics. I think Hannes, it'll be interesting to see how he fares on this, because on paper, 62 miles, 12,000 feet of vert is nothing compared to European ultras. That's kind of like, that's what a 50K would have.
Yeah.
But these trails hit different. They run like cement. They pound your quads. It's not technical, but it allows that runnable terrain to really eat you up. And Poopy knows that Hannes has never experienced it. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares on the course.
I will say though, Hannes, too, I think, I don't know, he's in that Jeff McGavro category where like these dudes are like, they present as mountain dudes, but really,
That's what I was gonna say.
they're road
Yep.
dudes at heart, I think. And Hannes, I put him in that category that he's a mountain dude, but where has he performed best? Lavaredo.
Yep.
What does Lavaredo run like?
Faster
a
mountain
lot
course.
more like this than
Yeah.
it does UTMB. And so I do think
I mean,
that,
he beat Tom Evans at Lavaredo. You know, like if you can beat Tom Evans at a fast race, you can beat anybody at a fast race.
He's a boy after my own heart.
Yeah.
Like, run,
Yeah,
bring
a
running
mountain
back.
guy with speed.
Absolutely.
Love it.
That's my jam.
Love it.
So I think he is in that category of we think of him as a mountain dude, but really he's a road boy at heart.
Yeah. All right. Hoopiter, how's he doing?
Hoopiter, he's doing well. And I mean, obviously, he had a breakout race at Black Canyons last year. Nearly, he was second place to Hayden, both under the previous course record. He's had an incredible training block. Similar, I mean, he went to Western States. He had a tough day there, but he had experience on the trails. He's seen these trails now. I think that he's one that I put into the challengers mix, where on a good day, I think he definitely is in contention, and he's a gamer. He's going to go out there. He's going to respond to the moves. He's not going to get kicked out early. I'm really stoked to see him have another opportunity. And he wants back into states.
Yeah.
It's one of those, like, once most people, you run your first Western States and it chews you up and spits you out, and you learn a lot, but you need to get back in. It's increasingly harder to get in.
So true.
But he's proven that he can handle getting the golden ticket. At Black Canyons this year, he had a back spasm basically, and that dropped him out early, so he was never in the mix. But he's back healthy. I trained with him in Tuscany. We ran the Chianti Trail together in training, and like, the boy can climb. So I think something like, when you are hitting the last two canyons on this course, which are the last two of the four at Western States, I think he's going to demonstrate that if he's in that mix, he's going to start pushing the pace on the guys.
So good. So we mentioned Hiroki Kai again. He's part of this group that doesn't need a golden ticket. Just wanted to give him a shout out. The lone sort of elite Japanese athlete in the field who's here, I think, probably from now all the way until he runs Western States. So he's going to get a preview of the course that he's going to be racing in 8 weeks here this weekend. Follow him on YouTube, Crazy Caro. He'll run the entire race with a GoPro on his hat, and then he'll upload it later. So if he's in the mix, it's going to be must-watch material. Okay, we start with the internationals, which means we skipped over the defending champ and your boy, Rod. I'm sure you've got inside intel. The only thing I know is that he's raced once this year, the Santa Barbara 9 Trails.
And what did he do there?
He broke a Jim Walmsley course record. The boy seems to be fit. Your comments, please, Tim.
My lips are sealed. I am under embargo until after the race. I'm too close to home. I mean, I went for a shakeout with him this morning, and I mean, Rod's my boy. I love the guy. And I think that obviously what he did last year at Western States shocked the world. It didn't shock the people close to him, but now there's been a target on his back, and he's shown that, okay, he wasn't a one-hit wonder. I mean, he obviously did that after winning Canyons and a course record, then running this third fastest time ever at Western States. But then what you just said, going down to 9 trails and, absolutely hammering that course, he's in fitness. And I think really it's going to be a question of, okay, his goal is Western States and beyond. And so this race is an opportunity to kind of test things out. You can sharpen your tools. And I one thing I told him was, you look at the greats like Courtney and Jim and Katie, they can win under any condition. Hot, cold, fast, slow, competitive, not competitive. And I think that's something, even though he's been around for a decade running ultras, at the top of the level as having a spotlight on him, he's still kind of a freshman.
Yep.
And so I think it's an opportunity for him just to kind of, sharpen his quiver, work on those tools that he'll need for Western States this year.
I think it's
Love
his
that.
4th run at Canyons, and it'll be his 5th run
Yeah.
at Western States. Like,
He posted a great sequence of his history here at the race.
yeah, it's great.
So just for the audience, in 2022, when Peterman won the race here, David Sinclair got second. Rod ran his way into fourth,
in
and
the last mile.
the ticket rolled down to Rod. So then he finished, I think, outside the top 10 at Western States that year.
Had a really hard day, actually.
I think he ran 22 hours.
Yeah.
And he's like, I came back and I PR'd by 7 hours
Yeah.
to finish 11th.
So anyway, he's no stranger to these trails, and he is our defending champion. Shout out Rod Farvar. The east side makes his way here to the groomed trails of the Sierra foothills. Okay, Zach Miller drops a bomb on the start list this week.
Apparently, he just got in. I did text the North Face team manager, and I was like, "What's the deal here?"
Yeah.
She's like, "He just recently got in. Well, there'll be some game day decision making, but like, it sounds like he's ready to rip."
Yes. So, I mean, come on. There's been nobody in the sport more exciting, more compelling, and, as accomplished. I mean, there's few people as accomplished as Zach Miller. Jumping onto the start list last minute. I mean,
I think it's
almost like a power move. It
It's
feels
interesting
like.
because, knowing Zach, Western States, like all of us, it's on the radar at some point. But does that mean he actually wants it this year? Does he want in the deepest men's field ever assembled at Western States? Otherwise, why would he be at Canyons?
Right. But how
But he's also in Hard Rock. He's in Hard Rock.
especially with what happened at Hard Rock last
He
year.
can't mess up Hard Rock. He didn't mess up Hard Rock last year. He had appendicitis and he had surgery, and they didn't let him start. That's the whole thing. They let him back in this year, effectively.
So that's got to be a priority.
Yeah.
So that has to be the priority.
But
right?
then if you think about it from Zach Miller's brain,
Dude,
right?
his
If
brain
you see-
only knows competition.
Yeah, if you
it's
see
black
Jim,
and white.
Rod, Peterman, Vincent,
matter.
David Roche,
If he gets
Dan
offered a
Jones,
ticket, he's
Hayden
accepting it. He
Hawks.
has to.
Exactly. That's my point. How if he got a golden ticket, how could he not be in the race?
Sorry, Dale.
It would just be so good.
I will say, I think Francesco very likely to turn down a ticket. Zach Miller, I have to imagine that dude's
He'll
gonna
just sit
take a
there
ticket.
like twirling his mustache, wondering
Yeah.
what to say. But I think Zach is an interesting addition because he only knows one gear. It's grind. It's from the front. You throw him in the mix with guys like Rod and Poopy, all these other international athletes that you just said. We haven't touched on a lot of the other like badass Americans in the field. It really, I think, could just be like a pack through Driver's Flat, 47 and a half miles, all the way up through Stonewall, as you're approaching No Hands. We could
I
have
hope.
a battle
I
all the
want
way
it.
through.
Yeah, especially with the conditions, it could lead to something like that. So anyway, let's keep it moving here. So I had some other categories here. So I had the comeback kids that included Anthony Costales and Adam Mary. I had the steady Eddies that included Eric LaPuma, Ryan Montgomery, Mackay Clemens, Cody Lind, and then the wild cards, people who I've heard are in great shape, that being Justin Grunwald and Hans Troyer. So, I mean, obviously we don't need to spend 5 minutes on each name.
So you mentioned Anthony Costales.
I
Did you
did,
mention
yeah.
Costales?
I'm gonna give a shout out to my
Please.
boy Costales,
Yeah.
Chico grad, and as we remember, got his golden ticket. Finished third at Western States in his debut in 1508 or 1509,
Yep.
right in there. Finishing third in his debut. He's had a horrific last 18 months of injuries. He was so close. I was training with him in southern Utah as we prepared for Black Canyons. He was fit, ready to go, but his knee flared up. He made the wise decision to pull out. The fact that he's lining up now means that he is ready. And he's a guy similar to a Zach. He only knows how to game. And so he's going to be in the mix and he's going to go for broke. He wants back into Western States. So I think he's someone that you really got to keep an eye on.
Past champion here.
Yeah, and I just look at the list of men who like have been really close to a ticket in the last 12 months. Let's say Mackay Clemens was 3 minutes out of a golden ticket last year. Cody Lind about the same amount of time out of a golden ticket at Tarawera earlier this year. Eric LaPuma kind of constantly in that searching position, but like almost right there. Hans Troyer missing the opportunity to line up at Black Canyon because he was sick, but every single guy on the elite panel, as someone from the audience asked, who are you most afraid to race that weekend? And I think Tim said something nice, like
What
everyone.
a great question.
I think Tim said everyone. And then someone was like, Hans Troyer, because that kid has no fear. Like he
It's
just
like Zach Miller, right? It's
no,
like,
exactly. Like who's gonna go to the front with
you're not
Zach
going to
and
out tough
Francesco?
him, you know?
Hans. Like
Yeah.
Hans ran himself into the hospital last year.
Yeah.
So I think that you've got a group of guys. Justin Grunwald. How many times has he been just shy a spot or two from a golden ticket? So I think
I
you've
talked
got,
to Hillary yesterday, and she said, look out for Justin.
yeah. I think
Justin's in great shape.
I think people there's a lot of guys on this list who are incredibly fit and have been really close to a ticket, and we've got this really interesting scenario where, unlike the women's race where everyone wants a ticket and only two women are in, you've got 3 guys that are in and 1 who doesn't want a ticket, and technically the 3 tickets aren't supposed to roll past 6. Then I will plead with our overlord Craig Thornley to release the ticket down at least 1 more spot if it has to be.
Thornley, do an executive order. Open it up.
Because you got to get 3 of these guys need to be added to the Western
Yes.
States field. And yeah, I can't. Can you imagine if it was like 5 up and 1 ticket gets taken because the top 3 guys are already in and
Then-
2 other guys don't want it? Like,
Could we lobby that it goes to a media, like someone on the
Yes.
prognostication field?
yeah, so
Yes.
And then the
it
3 of
rolls
us
to
can
Tim
race?
Tollefson. Oh, wow. That's so strange.
Mackay is one that I think you should not overlook.
Yeah.
He, like, I know, I absolutely.
He was off the front with Eli at Black
and he
Canyon.
was sick. He was like in a really bad
he
shape,
came
and he
in
was still
sick.
handling the field, like helping to dictate the pace, almost 40 miles deep into Black Canyon.
Yeah.
I think Strava can be misleading. He's down in San Diego, but I think Mackay is one that I would not be shocked if he finished top 3 on Saturday. Like people would say, who the heck is Mackay? But he's been around.
Yeah.
He's just flying under the radar. He's one of those relatively unknowns, despite being like right on the cusp of a breakthrough.
Consistently almost there.
Yeah.
And he's been, he's had good 50K, good 60K, good 70K, and it just hasn't quite come together for him. It was so
and he is
close.
fast.
Yeah.
He's run like a 64-minute half marathon.
So close at Canyons a year ago
Dang,
here.
really?
Yeah, the
Wow.
dude has wheels. He is incredibly fast, and so I've got my heart.
He's one of those random ballers, even though he's accomplished.
Yeah, random ballers just because.
Yeah,
like,
he's
he
the
hasn't
type
quite,
I don't know him super well, but he's the type of guy who everybody who runs and trains with him is like, watch out for that guy.
So he's just waiting for a breakthrough.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
No, and
Yeah.
he's been knocking at the door, and so I think you've got a lot of guys who have been knocking at the door of getting that golden ticket. And I mean, Cody Lynn shouldn't be in that category. Technically, he's been to Western States, he's done well there, but
Yeah.
it's like I think of Cody Lynn, I think of Eric LaPuma, I think of these guys who have been like putting in the work and have like had days that have been just about there.
Yeah.
Like I'm very excited for that race on Saturday.
Cool. So winding things down, Adam Mary, I just wanted to give some love to him. He did get his golden ticket here 2 years ago into Western States. So somebody who has experience getting a golden ticket at this specific race. And you mentioned the Boulder Boys earlier. The entire squad is here this weekend. It looks like Adam Mary and Moises are in the 100K. Matt Daniels, Drew Holman, Seth Ruling, all doing the 50K tomorrow. So the Boulder Boys are here in spades. Any other names you want to get to or any closing comments before we wind down and I bring Maggie on?
I'm just overwhelmed and excited as far as like getting to be out there. It's really fun actually that like, I mean, I am bummed that there's no live broadcast, but I'm also like
It's a shame.
just giddy that we get to be running around on the course as well. Like I'm going to be crewing Friday night and then basically going to Michigan Bluff to intercept Keeley's crew on Saturday and then headed to Forest Hill directly basically to make sure I catch everyone there. I'm the backup crew for Keeley by going to get her gear. And I'm just like, I'm not going to have slept a whole lot. And I think I'm going to be flying high when we do our post-race show on Saturday.
This is the makings of one of the greatest races to never be told. So if you want to like learn or know what happens, you should come down to Auburn this weekend and check it out, because I think what we saw last year, it was an incredible race. And we, like we talked about earlier, it was a race pretty much from like there was that break at mile 12:13 that Drew described, and that was the breakaway. I think this year is going to be similar, where there's going to be a pack of probably 5 to 10 guys grinding all the way down to the river, which is about mile 43, 44. And unlike Western States, the final 20 miles of this race are not cruiser. You have to climb up to Driver's Flat. There's some punishing downhills and uphills. The Stonewall climb at mile, I don't know, what is it, 54 or so, is a punisher. And so this is where guys like Zach,
that could be the deciding,
that could be the break. Yeah. And I see guys like Zach being out of the field just as like more, kerosene on the fire, where he's going to grind people into the dirt and there's going to be carnage after that point. But the amount of talent in this field is going to make for an incredible race. And yeah, I can't wait to watch it unfold firsthand. And it's a shame that more people won't see it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, best canyons ever for sure. And yeah, too bad there isn't a live stream. But you know what people can do to stay informed about what's happening?
Play Fantasy Freetrail.
Yes, you can do that. You can also follow Freetrail on Instagram. Ryan and I are going to be out on the course all day, blasting content out there. You can also smash that subscribe button here on YouTube, because we are going to be doing daily shows throughout race weekend to keep you all informed. Corrine, Tim, are you going to come back tomorrow?
Am I invited?
Yes, of course you are.
Please post shakeout.
Only if I get one of these sweet
This
threads.
is going to be yours.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would love to come back.
Okay, great. So tomorrow, 11 a.m., we're going to be back here on YouTube doing the 50K preview. We're also going to make our predictions for race weekend. You're not going to want to miss that, going live at 11 a.m. Friday tomorrow. Corinne, Tim, you guys are free to go. I'm going to bring Maggie Tides up onto the set here from the Placer Valley Land Trust, an old friend of mine, good people who are hosting us here, who've built a beautiful studio in their amazing office right here in downtown Auburn, the endurance capital of the world. Maggie Tides, grab a microphone.
Hey,
good to see you.
Coming back.
As I was just saying, we're old friends from the, version 1 of the San Francisco Running Company community, but now you live at Roby Point, basically.
Yes.
So just share a little bit about yourself, this community, and what you do with Placer County Land Trust.
Thanks. Thank you so much. And it's great to see you. And yes, back to the old days. I remember coming up here to crew Steven, my husband, when he was running states. And I remember looking at the house we live in now and being like, wouldn't it be crazy to live on the states course? And then flash forward, and I don't know how we made it happen. Like, we're here and it's amazing and we love it. And running has just been central to our lives, like you and like everyone that you talk to. It's like such an important part of our lives, and it's a big reason why we chose to live here. And running is really spiritual for me. And listening to you talk, I feel like we share that. Like,
Yes.
It is a way to connect with the world and people. It's connection and community. It's life. Like, running is life. And so I think we've really found our place here, and like tying into that purpose and that meaning. Also, it feels like really naturally led me to Placer Land Trust.
Yeah.
Like, the Land Trust is connection and community. And for folks that may not know what a land trust is or a land trust does, our sole mission is to protect and preserve land. Land in its natural state. And in Placer County here, we have a really rich agricultural history. Like, who doesn't love food, right? So we also protect agricultural lands, which is amazing.
So recreation and agriculture.
Yes.
I was going to ask you about that.
And then also just like recreation, like public access is important. And we also preserve land to be in its natural state. And so like on some of our preserves, there are species that need to be protected. And so we don't always allow public access in these really special places that just like need to be natural.
Yeah.
But the Land Trust does it all. And I was like, this is amazing. And these people are amazing. And that feeling we get as runners when you're like watching the sunrise and you're just thinking like, I'm on Earth and this is special. And like, those sunrise and sunset moments.
Like, I am a human alive on planet Earth.
Yes. I was like, I want that for everyone, everywhere, forever. And that just, to me, I want to further that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be a part of that forever. And so that is why I got involved at the Land Trust. That's what the Land Trust does.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to evangelize and be like, join our mission, like help us do this. It's important work. And there's ways like anybody can help us.
Yeah.
Like, you can get involved. I'm on the board, but anybody can get involved in so many ways.
Yeah. So I want to have you tell us different ways that we can get involved. But first, obviously, you're going to be talking to a diehard trail running
Yes,
audience.
yeah.
Many people who have been to Auburn or not been to Auburn. Obviously, everybody knows this is the home of the Western States 100. It's the endurance capital of the world. How does your work with the Land Trust connect to like specifically the recreation and the trail running, or does it?
Yes. Yeah. So a number of our preserves do have public access for mountain biking, trail running, all of that. And so for me, trail running was like my gateway drug into land preservation. And I think the values in the like trail running community for me align exactly with what the Land Trust does. And then I think these other aspects of the Land Trust are like bonus points, right? Like on top of that, we are also reaching all of like this broader community that is just, it's like broadened my tribe and broadened the people that I get to share my joy with. And so like speaking to trail runners, I'm like, I am one of you, and everything you love, we can share with all these other people too. And so that's what I like about it. It's just it's more community and connection.
You know, I went and ran at the Hidden Falls.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys have anything to do with that.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Holy smokes, what a beautiful place to go for a
it's
run.
amazing.
I had never, all the years I've been coming to Auburn, I've never gone running there. And it was a spectacular run this morning. I understand that you guys have had some major accomplishments recently, so maybe you could share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think we're on track this month alone to be preserving and protecting 1,000 acres, which is huge. One of our big accomplishments is Clover Valley. And that has been like decades in the making, and we finally accomplished that this month. So that's incredible. To date, the Placer Land Trust has protected about, I think we're over 22,000 acres, and our goal is 25,000 by 2030. And so with 1,000 acres in a month, like that's incredible. And all credit to our staff. Like I'm on the board, I help provide it's high level, but all credit to staff and our amazing executive director. Like these are the people that make it work, and it's an amazing, dedicated, and talented group of people. And then shameless plug, we are also really dependent on volunteers. And volunteers are like the lifeblood of our organization.
And of the sport.
Yes, and of the sport. And that's like, there's so many parallels to trail running and what land trusts do. And I'll just say that like, there are land trusts everywhere. So Placer Land Trust is here. And I think this place is really special, right? Like if you've been at Western States, if you've run Western States, you know how special this is. From Tahoe to the foothills is like, it's heaven. Like you're running in heaven. It is amazing.
Back to the spiritual stuff.
Yeah, it is though. Like if you have ever run that high country, you have become closer to God. Like whatever you think God is, you've been there.
True.
And you know, TRT, taste of heaven, taste of hell. Like you get it. But there are land trusts everywhere is what I was trying to get at. Not long-winded spiel is like there are land trusts doing this work everywhere. And I think find the community and connection where you are. And for me, that's Placer Land Trust. And this is like an especially important and special place for running and for nature. I mean, don't get me started on the Picas up at Tahoe. Like just, it's a really special place. And so get involved, volunteer. And I'll also say that right now is really important for us in terms of fundraising.
So I know it's an important time for you. Obviously, you're going to be talking again to people who are passionate trail runners who know the spirit of what you're describing, and I'm sure maybe they're motivated to get involved in some way. How can they?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that. And so regionally, we have what's called Big Day of Giving. It's May 1st every year, and it's 4 counties locally that come together to encourage people to donate to local nonprofits. It's on May 1st, but it's like a 2-week giving push, so we are right in the middle of it. And it aligns with all of this work we've been doing. It aligns with canyons. Like this feels like a celebration to me, and Big Day of Giving is part of that. And if you give any amount to Placer Land Trust, you become a member. You get our mailings, you get information on what we're doing, we do incredible events. So in the last week or so, we did what we call Symphony Under the Stars. We partner with the Auburn Symphony, and they do a symphony on one of our preserves. And we had 400 people come out to that. And so I would say, come to our event, come volunteer, become a member.
Yeah.
There are lots of ways for people to join this community and connect and celebrate
Great.
what we all love.
Well, Freetrail's in. We're going to make a donation to the land trust,
Thank
and
you.
we will gladly support
Yeah.
the cause. Maybe in closing, you're just reminding me, you know, when we were spending more time together in the same circles, you know, obviously we all knew that you were a very artistic person.
Yeah.
And I still have that Run Wild shirt
Oh,
that we
yeah.
made, that
Yeah.
you designed.
Yeah.
That we did as sort of like a fundraiser. So maybe you could, I'd love to
Yeah.
hear just personally
Yeah.
how your art is going, and if
Yeah.
there's any way that maybe our viewers might be able to see some of the stuff that you work on, and maybe how it connects with our conversation here.
Yeah. No, I loved making art. I started my art business when I was in law school as a way to like help pay rent. And it's part of that spirituality. I was like, I'm a human being on earth, and life is a buffet, and I'm going to eat as much as I can while I'm here and just express myself and joy. And I met so many incredible people through making art. And I made those. Did you ever see the triptych? with,
Yes,
like,
of
the
course. I think it's still at SFRC.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is. And I still get emails. So I'm taking a break from art making right now because it got so busy that I could not do my day job and also fulfill art orders. But it was a way to like connection, community, spirituality, like making the world a better place while we're here. And I just loved it. And I'm still artistic, but I'm not like selling it right now.
Yeah.
But
so cool.
I wanted to like make space to do things like the land trust, you know, like
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of like shovel in dirt. How can I like protect space in addition to celebrating it?
Maggie, you're awesome. And you're also running the 25K.
Yeah. Yes. I did the 100K like 2 years ago, and I was like, that's fun. Not doing that again for a while.
Well, 25K will be a great way to just go.
I'm also doing the kids run. So I want full credit for that I will be running with my daughter.
Are you approaching that competitively?
Yes,
Yeah.
we will win the kid now. She's more competitive than I am.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, say hello to Steven for me.
I
It's
will.
funny. I see him like once a year, and it's when I'm running past your house during Western States Day. You guys have, I think, the little coffee station set up.
Yeah, we did a mister with like psychedelic lights last year. So look for us again. We'll be out there. And he and I were just talking about Western States stories.
Yeah.
And
I was just telling Ryan about the 2015 year where we had that whole group from Marin County.
Brett, Jorge. I mean, it was like everybody.
Such great memories.
Do you know when Golden Tickets started? Pop question.
Well, there was the Montreal Ultra Cup before they rebranded that as Golden Tickets. They probably became Golden Tickets 2013, I would guess.
Okay, I was Googling this. I couldn't find an answer.
Yeah.
Because I remember
I mean, the automatic qualification has been around since before I was in the game.
But
so
I remember
15,
they
20
like
years.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It became like
yeah.
Golden Tickets, and I couldn't figure out when that started.
Yeah.
But cool.
We'll ask ChatGPT. But anyway, Maggie.
Yes.
You're awesome. I'm so
Thanks.
glad that we did this.
Yeah,
And congrats
likewise.
with everything that you're doing
Thank
here
you.
with the Land Trust. And we hope our viewers and listeners will be inspired to get involved, whether by taking advantage of that big day of giving or coming out here to Auburn, volunteer on the trails, take care of some of these places, and or at bare minimum, just come have fun out on these beautiful places and touch some of that spiritual goodness that trail running brings. We appreciate you guys for opening the doors to us and allowing us to turn this into a podcast studio too.
Yeah, I was gonna say amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So as we wind down here, reminder, we're going to be back in studio 11 a.m. tomorrow for the 50K preview show. We'll be making our predictions there as well. Right after the show here, if you're in Auburn, make sure you go to the Station Public House where we're going to be doing the HOKA happy hour and just kind of welcome event. So we'd love to see all of the great, brave canyon runners there. Big thank you to HOKA for their support of our coverage throughout race weekend. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're going to be live for the next couple of days. A big thank you to my right-hand man, Ryan Thrower, who's just outside of the screen here. Ryan, please throw a peace sign up. That's Ryan's peace sign there. And on behalf of Ryan Thrower, Maggie Tides, Tim Tollefson, Corrine Malcolm, I'm Debo. See you tomorrow. Peace out.